Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Dive Podcast. I am your host of the Trap or Dive Podcast, Mual. AJ is on the way. Dre is on the way. Administrative items. Marcus Johnson, the Mark John NFL on Twitter. You can find him on SB Nation Silverback Pride as well. Scouting Academy alum, just like your boy, is going to be joining us at the top of the show. So in a couple minutes, he's going to be joining us to kick things off with the Raiders Commanders preview. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate everybody who's checking in when you can on the YouTube side for sure. Twitch, Twitter, appreciate y'all checking in. Hit that follow button wherever you are watching. If you want to migrate over to the YouTube side, because you know that's where your boy primarily at, do that. And hit that subscribe button on that side. Audio side, you know what time it is, man. Hit the button. Hit us with a rating review if you can as well. It takes 10 seconds to do so, and it's free to show you support that way. Let me get the fellas in here. What's up, Plumber? What's up, Moneyball? Damn, bro, what's up? You know what? I'm glad you said that. Let's get some accountability for these guys, bro. I'm the only one that's ever on time. Let me get these guys in here, man.
Hey, man, don't be adding no comment like that from that.
Nah, because y'all late, bro. Hey, nah,
Moneyball. I'm sitting right here.
Bro. No, hell no. You got it.
You just want to be Beyonce, so we let you be Beyonce.
AJ, you got in at 6:03 p.m.
Hey, bro, we let you get your Beyonce moment.
The administrative, we in time, just in time for the administrative items.
I ain't trying to hear that shit. Nobody want to hear. Nobody want to see.
We ain't even get to talking yet.
After 6 o'clock,
hey,
7 o'clock, be on time.
The show start now.
Hey, Moneyball, let me start your.
By the way, Moneyball, we started an hour early, so you got to give us a little bit of slack here. We normally do 7.
How y'all doing, bro? How y'all doing today?
Doing good until one of our viewers is like they always late. But,
I'm with Moneyball.
Moneyball just like conflict. He like conflict. That's it.
Yeah, but on a serious note, doing good, man. Blessed to see another day. We got an early show today, so let's get it going, man.
Game day preview. Hey,
there it is. Like I said, Marcus Johnson. He's joining us right now, so let me get him into the show and let's talk some Raiders, Commanders, man. It's more specifically Raiders with Mark, because we sick and tired of what happened last Thursday. It's been a long week for us, right? So let's go ahead and talk some ball. And it's a short week for the Raiders. They had a game a couple days ago. So Marcus, man, appreciate you joining us, boss man. How you feeling? Hold on, somebody muted. Or not muted. It says your mic is on, but maybe we're not getting the audio from you. Let's see. Check your audio source for us right quick. and see if we can like try the settings and try audio and see what source your mic is on. Give it a couple seconds, see what you got.
All right, can you hear me?
There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, you good, boss man? How you feeling, bro?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Doing good. I feel like we're kind of in the same boat. Like I said, we're on a longer week. You're on a shorter week, but we both are coming off some in a sense some embarrassing performances. I think Geno came out with a 3-pick game. The offense really could get moving for the Raiders in a sense. And when it did, obviously Geno did his thing. And then Washington couldn't protect Jaden. Jaden was getting smacked. Offensive line didn't look good. Same thing with the defensive side of the ball, just giving up explosives after explosives in the pass game. I want to start with the Raiders, obviously. What can you make of this Vegas team 2 games in heading into this week against the Commanders?
I would say they're a little better than I thought. I thought defensively they're going to have some struggles, but I think they're pretty. I'm not going to say they're pretty good on defense. I think they're sound, which is like they're coached really well. They're always in the right spots. They're tackling well right now. And Devin White, he's playing a little bit better than I thought he was going to play. Devin White had last couple of years, he's kind of fallen off. It was, coming out of 2020, 2021, everybody's talking about he's one of the best linebackers in the league. Kind of fell off a little bit, but he's coming back. I think they're getting pretty good linebacker play. They still got some liabilities outside at the cornerback position, but on defense, they're doing pretty well. They play the run really well at this point. I think they're number 1 in defensive EPA against the run. So they're 9th overall, but against the pass, they do give up a lot of what I would say short passes. So like you can move the ball on them, but at this point they're doing the whole bend but don't break thing, and it's working. I mean, they haven't given up more than 20 points yet, and they held the Chargers to only 3 points in the second half last week. So defensively, they look pretty good. Offensively, it's just a little bit of a work in progress. I think Geno Smith is, just kind of late right now and everything. So you expected the offense to be better than it is, and then you expect the defense to be worse than it is, and it's kind of been the opposite. So if the offense can pick it up and start to get a little bit better, and you start to put some more points on the board, because they had 20 against the Patriots and only 9 last week, then they can start to pick up a little bit, and maybe get a little bit better. But the offense has been disappointing so far, but the defense has been pretty, what I would say, just underrated in my opinion, because they keep everything in front of them. They're tackling well, but also they're stopping the run. So teams, if you get the team in 3rd and long and they start blitzing, and Adams and White are really good blitzers, so the defense is looking pretty good.
I got one thing, my bad, just a quick follow-up based on what you're saying, because I do appreciate the fact that the defense is underrated. Offensively in Washington, like they've gotten off to a slow start the first 2 games. The Giants, you could have had more points on the board than you did. You ultimately only put up 21, but obviously you see the underwhelming performance against the Packers, albeit a good defense, right? So now you're talking about the Raiders defense, and you mentioned that it's underrated, but it's also pretty strong. It's a strong unit. In your opinion, like what's the expectations that Raiders fans have for the Washington game? And I say that because, Washington, we just on our last show, Dre, and part of like what we were saying is like, this is a game that Washington should win. And I don't like have that disagreement, but more so like this is a game where I feel like we shouldn't sleep on the Raiders. There's only 2 games. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what is the expectations from the Raiders side of things as they view Washington?
Well, I mean, Raiders fans are doom and gloom. I mean, it's too so much losing. 1 loss, everything's done. I mean, the season's over. Get rid of everybody. We need a new quarterback. We got to get a new defense. The coaches suck. So Raiders fans are probably looking at this game like they're gonna get blown out. Maybe if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, they might feel a little different about it. But at this point, like, yeah, Raiders fans are kind of like doom and gloom with a loss. Like a lost week when you cover Raiders media, man, it is just negativity everywhere. So that's the feeling going into this game. But I still think this team is so well coached that they're going to be ready to play, and they're going to be ready on defense. So I think it's going to be a close game no matter what. Even if Marcus Mariota plays, I think it's going to fit more into what Patrick Graham wants to do, because he's going to try to make Marcus Mariota do what Justin Herbert did last week, which is keep checking down and going down the field really, really slow and, winning in the red zone. And that's something that Mariota hasn't really done historically. He likes to run deep, or he might start running, or, he might run out of some clean pockets and things like that. But, that's what Patrick Graham's probably going to try to do to him. But it might be different with Jaden. But, Jaden, he has more willingness to kind of play like Justin Herbert, in my opinion, at times, and kind of take what's in front of him. So, it's going to be depend on how the Raiders play on defense, how this game goes. And also, they got to get the running game going. But we'll see how that goes.
So I guess my question is, with Chip Kelly coming back to the NFL so far 2 weeks in, what is the Chip Kelly Raiders offense?
I would say
outside of the Geno Smith struggles, like what is the true scheme?
I would say the scheme at this point, I mean, it's kind of like what he did in college, except it's more NFL based. And I think he's done a good job of, in college, you get the hash marks, right, are wider, right? And you can get more space and stuff like that. He's done a good job of taking that college offense a little bit and, fitting it into the NFL spaces. And there's not guys like running into each other and stuff like that. Like you saw Ryan Grubbs with Seattle. And he's a lot of like Y cross. I don't know if you're familiar with that play, like Y cross. And that's like a air raid staple. You're seeing a lot of that. He's doing that in a lot of different variations, a lot of different looks. He's doing a lot of stuff that Mike McDaniel was doing over in Miami. So he's kind of mixing it up. There's a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap motion, and as from the run perspective, I would say it's a little bit of a mixture of zone and power. It's kind of 50-50 at this point. I would say maybe it's leaning a little bit more zone, but I think, if they look at the film and they start examining it, I think they're going to get more into power because that's their best scheme right now. And that's where Ashton Jeanty actually looks like Ashton Jeanty is really in that scheme. He doesn't have to, he didn't run too much zone at Boise State. If you go back to the Boise State film, he's doing a lot of power, a lot of pulling, a lot of duo, a lot of those things where he's showing a little bit of his patience and he's allowing blocks to develop and then, and showing off his burst. But I would say, they're kind of going to switch to that because, Chip Kelly is very diverse with run game, depending on the running back. And I think he's just trying to feel what the fit is for Ashton Jeanty at this point in time. But I'd say with the passing game, it's very explosive. They're trying to be explosive. They're trying to throw the ball downfield. But I think that might switch up a little bit too after watching last week and Geno just kind of struggling to see those things and throwing the ball a little late. And him trying to see those things is leading to more pressure from the offensive line. So they might try to switch it up and get a little more with the shorting passing game, going into week 3. But at this point in time, it's a lot of what I would say like the spread kind of college offenses that you see, but just he's done a good job of maintaining it and bringing it to the NFL level, while maintaining the spacing that you need to make sure the quarterback doesn't have guys running in the same spot and defenders running in the same spot. What you see is the problems with a lot of college guys who try to bring their offense to the NFL. I think Chip Kelly does a good job of making sure that the spacing is good. And the thing with Chip Kelly too is there's always a completion. That's why I was really frustrated with Geno Smith last week because there's a completion everywhere. There's somebody open, and he does a good job of scheming that way.
So do you think Dante Thornton, the wide receiver out of Tennessee, is a real viable threat within this offensive scheme, or is it just, an action figure that looks good but really can't perform?
See, the thing is, he can only do one thing at this point in time. Like he really can't run another route. Like you can't really put him on slants. He doesn't really win that well. When it comes to press coverage, he's so fast that he could just run past people, and he's so physical that if you're trying to stay in phase with him, he can kind of push you off and get physical with you and kind of create that late separation. But then he's not a jump ball guy. So it makes it a little bit difficult for Thornton to get open. So, to be honest, the way it's happening, I could see Jack Besh, who from TCU, starting to get more snaps eventually, because Jack Besh, he has been getting open in the NFL. Like in preseason, he got open. He's got open, he got a catch week 1, but just watching him on film, he has been getting open a little bit. So, Dante Thornton, I think they really like him because he blocks and he's a tough player, and he's out there and he's probably picking up the offense. He's like not out of his not run the wrong route or anything like that. But what I think his problem is he just can only do one thing at this point in time. So it kind of limits the offense. And when he's running other routes, like nobody really cares because he can't separate on the other routes. So it kind of makes it, where, it's Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and then like Trey Tucker, he gets open, but like nobody wants to throw him the ball for some reason. I can't figure that out. But he gets open. But, Geno has to start throwing him the football a little bit more. And then they tried to this past week, but it just wasn't working. So they got to kind of figure that out because, Bowers is still dealing with the injury. But Jacoby Myers is a really good player. But, they just got to maybe start pushing Jack Besh into the lineup a little bit more.
Well, let's kind of talk about, we're talking about limited. Well, let's talk about Ashton Jeanty in a sense, because some of the national reports we're hearing, out of Vegas is that maybe he's going to start to possibly lose snaps soon because I guess pass pro or whatever the case may be. What is the vibe there, or what is the expectation moving forward? Is the coaching staff starting to lose a little bit of confidence in him, or do they just want him to kind of work his way up to be the guy that they envisioned when they drafted him top 10?
It's interesting. Chip Kelly today was talking about how, he wants to have a 2 running back system, and they really like Zamir White. I'm not the biggest Zamir White fan. I know he looks good on the field, and he's big, and he's fast, but he just is not a good natural running back, in my opinion. But they really are trying to get, I guess, kind of make a tandem type of thing at this point in time, and which is weird. You draft a guy at 6, you expect him to get like 300 something carries or something like that, but it seems like they're trying to limit it a little bit. And he played basically every single down week 1, and this past week they kind of slowed it down because he had a couple bad pass blocking reps, but he also he went the wrong way on a carry one time, and I think that was a little bit a bigger deal than that. So they kind of pulled him out after that a little bit, and maybe just to get his head right. But I think Genty looked pretty good last week. I think if he had more carries, he might have had a bigger impact, especially because I don't know if the Commanders are going to do this. Kind of duplicate what the Chargers did and try to play a lot of too high and kind of keep them from having explosive plays and try to make Gino take what's in front of him. They might try to do that, and then if they end up playing too high like that a little bit, then they want to be able to run the football. So I think they got to get the ball to Genty more. I think they got to get him more involved in the passing game too. I think that's something that they talked about a lot, but they're not doing that. I mean, and not just like a swing route. I'm talking about like getting him actually involved in some wheels and things like that. So we might start to see some things like that. Yeah, he's a good route runner too. Yeah, he's a good route runner too. So it's interesting how they're using him at this point in time, but I do think they're going to start giving him the ball more. They have to, because after week 1, teams aren't going to let them have 9 explosive plays every single game. So because that's what I'm talking about. They are very explosive, but that's going to stop because NFL teams they're just going to sit back and play too high and be like, okay, we're going to stop you from doing that. Let's see if you can go down the field. And they weren't able to do that last game, so they got to change it up. And the best way to kind of do that is to run the football and have a little bit more short passes.
So what's the word on Brock Bowers from an injury standpoint, how he's looked so far this year, but then also like after that transition into the defense, Max Crosby, how has he looked to start the season?
Starting with Brock Bowers, he looked fantastic week 1, and then he had that injury. I think he's trying to play through, but I think it's a little bit more serious than they're putting off. Like when he got injured on film, you kind of could see him like really limping, like he really couldn't walk on it. But he's trying to play through it, and I think he was a little limited last week. He looked a lot slower last week, so I think it's going to take some time for him to get healthy, especially since they're not sitting him out. They have Michael Mayer, so you figure that you might want to maybe sit him out early in the season, so he's not trying to play through that. But they started giving some targets last week, but he just looked a little slower. He's a very explosive player, just looked a little slower last week. So I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be again, but maybe he's a little bit healthier this week. We'll see. But yeah, he has week 1. You saw what he could be in this offense. And then, this past week, we weren't able to get that because he was injured, but he still was effective, and he's still a good tight end. He'd be able to move the chains. He moved the chains a lot in the second half, and they started targeting him a little bit more. And I guess it felt like that he could play through the injury a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see more of him this week. But yeah, week 1, he had 100 yards in 3 quarters. So, they know how to use him, and they're using him deep a lot more. So that's going to be a bigger factor. Last year, he had like 170 catches, but he had like around 1,100 yards or something like that. So they're going to start using him more, on the more deep passes, deep looks with him up the seam and stuff like that. But they just couldn't do it last week because he was injured. And then, get to Max. Max is a monster against the run. I mean, that has nothing to do with it. I mean, we could talk about that all day. I mean, the Commanders are probably going to try to run away from him, just like every other team has. I don't know if you guys seen those charts on the timeline on Twitter, but everybody's running away from Max.
Go through it. Go through it for the people that we
So everybody's running away from Max. I mean, all the runs are going to the left side. He usually stays on the right side. They moved him around week 1. They didn't last week, which I think week 1, since what they did really well week 1 was moving around. He played a D tackle, a couple snaps. He played
the defensive right. My bad. He's lined up on the defensive right.
The defensive left. Defensive left.
Oh,
yeah,
so he'd be on Connerly's side. He's on the right tackle side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's on the right tackle side. My bad. Yeah, so he's on the right tackle side all the time. So they did move him around a little bit week 1, but yeah, he's gonna be on their right side, and they're gonna be chipping him. The Patriots put like 4 guys on him sometimes, and I'm sure the Commanders are gonna do the same thing because the other guys, Kuntz is pretty good, but he's getting there. He's coming off a torn ACL. He's getting back healthy. He had a little bit of tough game against Joe Alt, but a lot of people do. So, that was a little bit different. But the interior is not doing anything to help Max. So, I would expect the Commanders they're going to give him a lot of attention and say, let's see if these other guys can win, and they're not right now. So that's going to be a big thing. Thomas Booker is playing a little bit better than we expected. He's getting a little bit more push inside. But, I wouldn't expect him to be winning all the time. And that's how they're kind of shutting down Max a little bit in the pass game. But he still is dangerous. I mean, he was all over Drake May week 1. I think he had 7 pressures week 1. He only had 1 this past week, though. So they kind of shut him down. The Chargers did, but Justin Herbert's also getting rid of the ball really quickly. So if he was winning, then, they're not getting that pass rush they want because they're getting rid of the football. So yeah, Max, he's going to get a lot of attention. They're going to be running away from him, but he makes a lot of plays coming from the backside. That's what he does, man. He'll rip through and just make a tackle on the other side of the field. So he's dangerous. He jump snaps. And, if the Commanders wanted to run at him, you want to be able to play on him jumping inside, because sometimes he doesn't set the edge. He kind of just freelances, what I would say sometimes. If he thinks he could beat the guy inside, he might go to the wrong gap. So like, let's say, Jermaine Pratt's the linebacker, has a B gap, and Crosby's supposed to, cover the C gap. Crosby might just jump in the B gap in front of Pratt. He does things like that. So if they wanted, yeah. So if he wants to, if you want to run at him, you gotta make that type of thing where you're pushing him inside and you could get outside of him.
Was he ever on the trade block, bro? Was that real? Okay.
He threatened for like Antonio Pierce, which I think is funny. He threatened if they didn't hire Antonio Pierce, he said he wanted to be traded, which that didn't last long.
Because when fans get to catch wind or start doing their little fantasy thing, like it caught wind over here in Washington land. It wasn't me, but people started saying trade for Max Crosby. But I was like, I never knew if it was real or not. Not with him. Like I knew about Myles Garrett, but Max, I was like that don't even sound right. But you said it wasn't a real thing for real.
No, it's not a real thing.
Okay. Hey, and I have one more question.
Okay.
Now, from the offensive standpoint, or the Commanders' offensive standpoint, if it's one thing you're probably worried about them attacking that Raiders defense, because I do agree. I mean, looking from the outside in, your front 7 is pretty damn solid, especially with Max Crosby leading the way. But then when I look at the secondary, I see Jeremy Chin, who's solid safety. I mean, he seems like he's playing pretty decent ball. But then I think Caillou Blue Kelly, he's the starting corner for you all. Darnay Holmes. Now, is that one of the places you will probably, if you are scared of anything on defense, that your secondary can get attacked a bit?
Yeah, if I was Commanders, I'm throwing out Eric Stokes. That's what I'm throwing out. Eric Stokes is kind of just, he's a very fast player. He's good in press, but he just has the worst hips I've seen on a corner. Like he slips all the time. He has to change directions. So you put a good route runner on him, he's not going to be able to hold that guy. And, I think Stokes, he's been making a lot of mistakes out there. He is a sound corner, what I would say, like in zone. And, for the most part, he blew a cover 2 against Justin Herbert last week, but I think Caillou Blue Kelly is actually playing pretty well. He made a mistake last week too, as well, and that led to a touchdown. But he's been playing pretty decent over there. And I would say like the safety position, outside of Jeremy Chin, is Palomar. He's okay, but he can miss some tackles. But he's an okay player. So I would attack Eric Stokes if I was them. I would make sure that McLaurin's on Eric Stokes as much as possible, especially when they get some of those cover 3 looks, and just try to attack him, because he can't, if it's like a dig against cover 3, he doesn't have to change the direction to hang with McLaurin or something. All right. To be honest, most wide receivers who can run a halfway decent route, he can't hang with those guys on dig routes. He just doesn't have the hips to do it. And he was a first round pick because he ran a 4.3, and he had a great year his rookie year, because he's pretty good in press coverage if he can get his hands on you. But like I said, if it's zone coverage and he's playing cover 3 or something like that, with the Raiders play a lot, and somebody's running a dig, like he's toast. Like he can't have that change of direction where he is like just kind of just, it's weird because he slips a lot, which we count the slips over at TDL. We every slips he has a game, he's at least 3. He's gonna slip. Doesn't matter what the surface is, he's gonna slip. And it's a so that's what I would do. I would attack Eric Stokes all day and try to make him cover, because he just doesn't do a good job of covering one-on-one. And if you're running dig routes or inside routes, you're going to get him. So that's who I would go after, and the linebackers are playing well, but if I was going to attack the Raiders too, I would, I'm attacking Landon Roberts, because, Landon Roberts, he's a run first guy. He really doesn't do that well in coverage. Devin White he's playing a little bit better in coverage this year, but historically he's a little bit of a liability there. And then, Jamal Adams is the guy, the linebacker, that's playing crazy. He looks like, like it's 2020 again. So that's gonna be interesting to see how much more he plays this week. But I would attack Eric Stokes. That's what I would do.
Hey man, so Marcus, I appreciate you joining us. I want to give you the floor one more time for your score prediction, who you think wins it and everything, but also I want to give you the floor as well to let the people know anything and everything that you got going on, boss man. It was fun for a brief period trying to cook some up together.
Yeah.
for the draft thing and everything. But hopefully down the road we can work again in the future. But yeah, floor is yours, man. Score prediction and plug in everything Marcus Johnson.
All right. It depends. I'm gonna go if Jaden Daniels plays and Marcus Mariota plays. If Jay Daniels plays, I'm gonna go 24-17 Commanders. And if Mariota plays, I'm gonna go 21-17 Raiders. So that's how I look at it. Okay. I think Daniels can play against this type of defense, and they're a little bit better in the red zone. And because Daniels, he will take what's in front of him. But I don't know if Mariota is going to do that. So I think it'll be a different game. But I still think the Raiders offense is still trying to get it together. So I don't know how many points they're going to put up. But I think the defense will be able to hold Mariota a little bit better than Daniels. And plugging me, check me out on Twitter at the Mark John NFL. I host a show called Tape Don't Lie. It is on this is a Raiders channel, but check that out on YouTube. We'll be doing a preview of this game on Saturday, so check that out. Film preview, kind of breaking down what we see and what we think is going to happen with that game. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check that out. And then also, during the draft season is when you can really get into TDL, because that's just kind of basic everything. And we go over all the draft players. We did like almost 80 players last year. So with film, and so that definitely gets you ready for the draft. So definitely something to check out is Tape Don't Lie during draft season.
Here it is. Like I said, man, if y'all aren't familiar with Marcus, man, this is a great introduction to the Shop and Dive side. Like I said, he does the film thing just as much as anybody out here. And like in terms of the consistency, you definitely want to tap into him at least during draft season. But it's perfect timing though, because you said y'all do film on Saturday for opponents. So you want to catch up on the Raiders side, getting ready for Washington. Catch him on Saturday. Hey man, Marcus, appreciate you joining us, bro. Be safe, enjoy your weekend, man. And I would say good luck, but I'd be lying.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you having me.
All right, take care, man.
All right, man. Be easy, man. There it is, Marcus Johnson of TDL, Silverback, Pride, etc. So let's get into our ad read, fellas, and then we will come back and finish up with the Washington side of things, man. So, as you know, man, football is back. And Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy, man. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower, such as touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Part of the problem that I had, let's see what we got. Because part of the problem that I had when I was looking for the Commanders game on Sunday is that everything was not set. Today's Thursday. So that was Tuesday and Wednesday. But perfect time because it's a live read. Everything is set now. So we have, who they have as the quarterback? It's just Geno Smith. They have him at 239.5 passing yards. Dre, talk to me, man. I'm going to get you the first pick. We're going to do quarterback. We're going higher or lower on Geno Smith yards. He has 239.5. We're going to go higher or lower than 239.5.
I want to believe in Joe Witt's defense, so we're going to lower.
We're going to go. Hey, man, blind faith, bro. F it. Geno Smith, we're going to go lower than 239.5 passing yards for Geno Smith. So now we have Ashton Jeanty. They don't even have, wow, they really don't know what's going on with Washington. For rushing yards, they only have Geno Smith and Ashton Jeanty available. But Ashton Jeanty is at 55.5 rushing yards. In this case, this is super low to begin with. So off the strength, I'm going to go higher. Granted, I don't think that Ashton Jeanty is going to go off this game, but I do think he will get higher than 55.5. I'm looking around like 70, maybe 65, something like that. Not over 100. So for Ashton Jeanty, I'm going to go higher on his rushing yards at 55.5. And let's do, wow, they don't even have Terry. They have all Raiders. Are you serious? This is incredible. Okay. That's fine. So we'll do one more. This is all a Raiders thing, but have no fear, because when Sunday comes around, we're going to do a commander side as well. So we're going to do one more, and we're going to do receptions. Brock Bowers, talk to me, Dre. It's at 5.5 receptions. We're going to go higher or lower on Brock Bowers' receptions.
We're going to go higher. They're going to attack our linebackers, I do believe, after seeing the Green Bay game. Why not go to Brock Bowers 5 times when you've seen Tucker Kraft get 6 catches last week?
5.5. We're going to go higher. Okay. All right. So that's where we're going to leave it on this. This is so crazy. This Raiders-based play for Underdog Fantasy. Again, we're going to go lower, 239.5 on Geno Smith passing yards. We're going to go higher on Ashton Jeanty's rushing yards at 55.5. And on receptions, we're going to go higher on Brock Bowers, 5.5 receptions. Download the app today and sign up with promo code TRAPPERDIVE to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code TRAPPERDIVE. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21.
It was on a loop. They tried me. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to the show. I don't know what's going on with these guys, man. It's always something. All right, so Washington. Matter of fact, I see a couple of Raiders guys in the chat, man. As always, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are just checking out the Chop or Die podcast. Appreciate y'all joining. Shout out to everybody that's coming through for Marcus Johnson. This is the commander side of things. Let's get off the solo. Boom. All right. So again, shout out to everybody that's checking it live. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We see a couple people that was playing along with Underdog Fantasy. We got lower for Geno, lower for Jeanty. J Tizzy don't think he's going over 55.5. That is very optimistic of you, J Tizzy. M85, he is a Raiders side. No big deal. Showing some love to the Raiders on the underdog play. Says that he's going to eat versus Washington. I don't think that Brock Bowers is going to not show up against Washington. So I'm not too scared of that. But if he's talking about, excuse me, let me rephrase that. If Bowers ends the day with like a 8 for 120, 130, I'm a little nervous about what that outcome may look like.
The injury could be a thing because our guest just told us that he was looking a little bit slower last week, so that could be a factor this week.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I'm with you though. Bowie said higher. I'm not too sure what he was talking about. In terms of which number. First off, M85, you done lost your mind. It ain't what the Packers did ain't as easy for any other team. And if Bobby Wagner, I don't know why I lost his name for a second. If Bobby Wagner and Will Harris have the same exact game they had against Green Bay after 10 days off, like I'm in the locker room myself and I'm throwing hands with them. I don't care if I lose. We just gonna throw some hands, bro. So yeah, don't get too optimistic, buddy. I gave you Brock though. Carrera said Geno INT guaranteed. The defense allowed 124 yards from the Commanders and a touchdown to Tucker Kraft. They may have a challenge Yeah, there was some coverage breakdowns. That's actually just the biggest problem coming out of that game. Carrera, appreciate you checking in. Genty is struggling. I trust the run defense. Why is it optimistic? Oh, Lord Jesus. I mean, you don't have to see it to understand. Like, I'm not saying you wrong, though, Jay Tizzy. I'm just saying that is a little like 55 is such a low number. I'm not sure if you are like a person who places wagers, but that's a really low number. And they're begging you. Honestly, they're begging you to take the over.
But
so I like
the thing is that, at least from my standpoint, the one thing on defense that Washington has been pretty good at this year is the run defense. So that's particularly why I don't have them over 55, because I think they would have to. I think the Raiders would have to be in the lead the majority of the game, kind of like Green Bay was against us. Where they were able to, give
in the lead or in the game.
Yes, and to that point, so. Yeah, I do think that he will be a factor in the pass game this week. I mean, I do think you have to get Genty the ball, and you don't just have to manufacture touches to him by just giving him carries in the run game. I think you have to get him the ball out in space, and I think the Raiders may actually do that this week. I mean, him, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers, those are the guys I'm worried about this week on the Raiders offense, at least in the passing game.
All right, let's see. All right, so AJ is back. Let's get him back in here. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get ourselves situated on the Commander side of things, fellas. Jaden misses another practice Thursday. Dan Quinn did mention, I think this was a conversation after our show, or maybe the day of, but he said that Jaden, what's today? Thursday? So it was yesterday, actually. So yeah, it was after our show. That he does have to see Jaden practice before he declares that he's able to play on Sunday. He was very adamant about that aspect, so I don't think he's bullshitting in that category when he was asked that. I do think he wants to see Jaden be able to play. Be able to practice before he plays. So again, Thursday, no practice for Jaden. He did not practice again on Wednesday either. So I guess Friday is kind of the tail. I'm not too sure. I don't know if y'all thoughts on that either, but that's one of the things that we come out of the injury report for Washington. John Bates, was a DNP. Debo had a personal reason, so he wasn't playing or practicing. Brandon Coleman was in full. Kosin Yankov was in full. Jeremy McNichols was in full. Trey Amos was limited. Do we have anybody that's on that injury report? Jaden is an obvious conversation, so we don't have to worry about that. But anybody on this injury report where, like, if they did miss the game, it would be a big, or something that we would have to overcome from a significant standpoint. Like, what do we think about like the injury report and those who may or may not play?
I mean, I think overall as a quarterback, I think that maybe some people are higher on him because of the performance last year. The quarterback. So Jaden Daniels possibly being absent. I think a lot of people are higher on Marcus Mariota because of the performance that he gave last year in relief of Jaden. But at the end of the day, you don't know what you're getting out of Marcus Mariota. Like, you really don't. And I think that Jaden plays. I don't really see it as a situation where he misses a game. It'll be a surprise to me if he misses Sunday's game. I think that he'd be good to go. I think it's just one of those Dan Quinn rest day type of things, taking it easy on top of the fact that you had a down period of time due to the nature of playing on Thursday night. But that's one of the main things that concerns me injury-wise. And then I would say probably the absence of Noah Brown, who's going to step up opposite of Debo and Terry. I don't think that Jalen Lane's play strength is there yet. So who comes in and fills in that role?
But that ain't going to sideline him, though.
Say that again?
I said that ain't going to I hear you on the play strength, but I said that's not going to sideline him. Like, he's still going to play. No,
Jalen Lane's going to play. But what I'm saying is, like, it's just like I don't personally believe in his play strength. And that's something that Noah Brown kind of brings to the table. He's a more physical guy within that wide receiver room. So who's going to be the next man to step up? Of course, they've been elevating Chris Moore these past few weeks. But could Luke McCaffrey step up? Yeah, we also talk about John Bates probably not playing as well. Can Ben Sinnott show why he was that pick in the second round? Can he show something of relevance, whether it be in pass blocking, run blocking, or even pass catching? Like what can he do? The fact that we even got to focus on John Bates as much is already alarming when he's a second round pick. He was supposed to be somewhat of an impact guy. So that'd be interesting for sure. Some things to watch Sunday with some of these guys possibly playing and some of them being absent. I think we already know definitively like Noah and John aren't playing, but the quarterback thing is up in the air.
What do we think about? I know you was about to. My bad, Dre. Just to follow up on him, though. Ben Sinnott, 8 snaps against the Green Bay Packers, and that was in the midst of John Bates missing time due to his groin injury. Is that? I thought that it told a story that he only played 8 snaps. What do you all think about Bates's? I keep saying Bates, but Ben Sinnott's time, even with John Bates off of the field.
He's ass. We know he's ass. we just want him to play even more so people can shut up and move on with the story. He's ass. Like it just is what it is. Like
I'm surprised that Mitch Tisler ain't even say shit to you when you talked about Quan Martin. Like he gave a face, but I'm like, man, if you like Mitch, like I know you don't agree with this, man. Like say something.
Oh, I mean, but a lot of the media pundits are fans of Quan Martin. I get it, but
no, yeah, get that. But
yeah,
I knew it threw him off because that's a wild thing to say. I'm not saying that you right or wrong. I'm not even talking about that part. Not like I know Mitch don't think that he's some shit.
Yeah, but
I was a little surprised.
I think a lot of it also comes from how much the coaches have raved about Quan Martin, and I think if you pay close attention to this coaching staff, whenever they rave about the guy, they're essentially trying to get that guy to step up. Like that's really.
I view it as the opposite.
I'm about to say I'm over here thinking. I'm like, when is like how consistent is that?
They've raved about Luke McCaffrey. They've raved
about
hell no.
Not like they did. Dan Quinn said Quan Martin is about to be a star. I don't think that's motivating or anything. I think he legitimately thought this when he was going to be.
Do you see starring Quan Martin?
No, he's been horrible this season.
Hold on, bro.
But that's 2 games. It's 2 games.
Look, I don't think that Quan has been some shit. Period.
I'm just talking about from last year and these 2 games so far.
I've seen flashes of a guy. No, so I know what star means, and I want to be respectful to that. Like, because star is a big deal. You're talking about first off, I don't even know even if the top 10 safeties in the NFL are like stars, if that makes sense. Like there was a big conversation even in the summer about like there's no true star at the safety position. Like when you think about like an Ed Reed or Tony Polamalu, Bob Sanders, like those are stars, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. In the NFL, I don't even see that today. So, like, I want to say in respect to, like, what a star actually looks like, there ain't no stars that pops in my head. But Quan, I don't see star. I do see somebody, like, the way they describe it is somebody that they're super proud of that they can implement in their defense and, like, be that versatile piece that they need him in the box, but also in coverage. Now, me personally, I don't think that he's some shit. I don't believe in that label with Quan. I don't think that he's a bad player. I also don't think that he's gotten off to a bad start. But I will acknowledge against Green Bay, him and Mike Sanders and some of the coverages that they had on the same person didn't look good. Quan looked lost in some aspects. And I hate how people do, generally speaking, I hate how people do like these like they draw conclusions after 1 or 2 games, like especially the first 2 games of the season, because like that's not the end of the story, and it's like it's kind of actually misleading because eventually if they're better or they're worse as the season moves along, like that just tells you how wrong you were on your conclusion. So I think all that to say, Quan himself, I think that he's a good player. Also think that game against Green Bay just was not a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of like this platform and other places that have conversation. You know, I'm a bit harsher on like secondary players, especially when
except Marshawn. You're not harsh on Marshawn.
No, I mean I feel like I'm not harsh on Marshawn because I think the scheme last week put him in a bad situation. Having to trail guys in motion was terrible. Like that was horrible. Like Marshawn even coming straight out of college has never been a guy to be running with wide receivers like that. So I just think with Quan, it's like the fact that he's supposed to bring so much versatility. Yeah, I mean, I didn't listen to his presser or whatever.
No,
but
spotlight is on Joe Witt, man. We got to put the spotlight on Joe Witt.
No, I feel like last week's game was on everybody. Like it was poor coaching. It was poor coaching on both sides. If you can call
Quan Martin ass, you can call
Martin. That's. I'm glad. I said it was. All I'm saying. Y'all, look.
Man,
all I'm
boys
saying
got
is
hit with the Men in Black flash or something. Like I said, it was ass.
No, I agree. And I'm about to say that's exactly what I'm getting at, Dre. Like I know what you said, AJ, and I know what you were saying. But like when it comes to certain people on offense or defense that you are fans of, you don't say them directly. You say you say like you include them in the overall thing. Like you don't say them directly. So I need to hear you say Joe Witt assed it up against the Green Bay Packers. I need to hear you say that, bro. And I need to hear you say Marshawn Lattimore assed it up against the Green Bay Packers.
Say he.
After you include them two, say them two specifically. Say, hey man, but also everybody fucked it up. Go ahead.
Bruh, it's hard for me to call Bobby Wagner ass or Marshawn Lattimore ass. I just
I didn't say that. I said they assed it up.
If they start assing it up more, I will be the first one to come on here and be like,
you didn't need much time for Quan though. You didn't need much time.
I mean, I think Quan Martin's ass. Like the plays that Quan Martin has made, the ball has came right to him. Like he's involved in a lot of tackles, but he's always like not making plays on the ball.
So what about the people who's involved in coverage that's drawing flags, bro?
Bro, I said the whole secondary was
ass.
I said that.
No.
Everyone.
No. Who drew the flags, bro? Who drew 4 flags? Who calls 4 flags in 2 games? Who did it?
Bro, he calls the flags.
Oh.
So did Mikey.
Oh my God, bro.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Thank you. All right. Okay. And how's Marshawn played in 2 games?
You said what?
So how did Marshawn play in 2 games?
I think he's been 50-50. I don't feel like the week 1 performance was bad. I felt like
I agree.
Week two was a struggle because the whole scheme was off. Like, I mean, it's hard for me. We're talking about, even though we may not know some of the names, but these guys are known to be speedsters, and this man is playing one-on-one coverage against these guys, and they're putting him in trail. Like it's just like at some point they did adjust, but it was just too late.
Yeah, but that sounds like a coaching issue too. And speaking of that, I said that sounds like a coaching issue too. Speaking of that,
it was a bad day.
Let me defend myself real quick against Moneyball, because Moneyball said I listen to Sheehan too much, and I think he thinks that's what's influencing my opinion of Joe Witt.
Just act like Moneyball don't even exist.
But no, I just wanted to address that whatever Sheehan. I don't even honestly know what Sheehan feels about Joe Witt. I haven't even heard his opinion on it. But my opinion comes from Joe Witt. He talks, and when Joe Witt talks, I can go through a wall. That's how I feel when I listen to him talk. But then when I watch some of the same mistakes from the defense over and over again, and I hear some of the same issues coming from Joe Witt, like Joe Witt's excuses for the defense have been communication issues. Now we're hearing eye test issues. Now, where does that come from? If the players are not communicating well, or they're failing eye tests in games over and over and over again, doesn't that kind of speak to coaching in a sense? Like, I'm not giving up on Joe Witt. Let's get that straight. I'm not giving up on the guy, but I do think he holds some accountability. And I thought in his presser today, I listened to the whole thing. Sheehan didn't walk me through his presser. I listened to it myself. And I didn't feel like he took any accountability in the presser, but he can take accountability this weekend. And he can go out and show that my defense wasn't, what you all saw on Green Bay.
I think Joe Witt needs to get his ass on the sideline. That's what I think. He needs to bring that energy on the sideline and stay out of that booth.
Help me out, Dre. For those that don't know, by the way, I am. I've been out the loop today. But so like I've missed pressers and conversations. I have them up pulled here, so like I've read it.
Yeah.
But like the tone or like the context, I am not familiar with at all. But you said that he didn't take any accountability. I want to know, like, what did it hear? Like, how did it sound?
Well, to me, I'm just gonna say, to me, it just sounded like he chalked it all up to the players not doing what they were supposed to do in the field. He said over and over, we've seen these things before. They just didn't, we just didn't play this right, or guys were missing the eye test. They didn't have, they weren't seeing this right. Like they were failing this. They were getting fooled. They were getting tricked. Like that's how I took it. Like he never said, I got to do a better job of making sure they do this, or I got to do a better job of this. And he also seemed kind of agitated in a sense, which I get. You're frustrated because it's been 10 days since you played. So your last performance, everyone's just thinking about that. So you're eager to get out there. But I also think that Joe Witt just has to do a better job of getting these things across to his players. When you're talking about the communication issues, when you're talking about the eye test stuff, I feel like that's a lot of things that players can receive from coaching, whether that be film review, whether that be, you're helping them communicate better on the field, whatever it is. But I don't want to keep hearing this as a common theme. Like talent is one thing. Like when you can say, hey, the guy doesn't have a lot of talent, and you can see it on the field that the talent is just not showing, that's one thing. But when you're talking about things like communication and eye test over and over and over again, I feel like a lot of that has to do with coaching. And I feel like Joe Witt should take some accountability into that.
You just may have stupid ass players.
Help them learn better, help them learn better.
You may just have some dummies.
Where are we at with Let's do a quick glance on the offense side and like get to our outlook on the game. He mentioned Bill Merritt, and Cliff said that he wanted to see. It's actually like the way he phrased it is actually interesting. Cause like when I hear people say that, it's like I think about basketball. But he said he wanted to see how Bill Merritt plays without the ball. So like essentially, like in football terms, it's kind of self-explanatory. Like blocking, pass blocking, run blocking if he's an actual extra blocker, receiving, or route running, excuse me. Like I think those are the things I don't think he indicated like it's holding Bill Merritt back, but I think it was the thing that prioritized Austin Eckler in this offense, if that makes sense. So like it wasn't like a true knock on Bill, but he has an opportunity right now. So what do we think about Bill heading into this game against the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go. Oh, good. No, I got it. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, with Bill, I feel like because in the same boat where you put a Josh Connolly, right? And they asked Cliff about this, and I think they were kind of asking Cliff the question about Josh Connolly in a sense to see where he's at and see if there may be some kind of close possible bench or whatever. But he gave confidence into Josh Connolly. So he was thrown into a gauntlet. He was thrown into the fire. Pretty much he's going to have to learn by trial. So Bill, in a sense, when you talk about Bill, and he kind of alluded to those things, the other things, not running the football, but more so the things you do without the ball. Now, if you're going to kind of go through this trial by fire process with a Josh Connolly, I think you got to go through it with Bill as well. Like you got to take the good with the bad at this point, and right now the good is good. Like we know the guy is good with the ball in his hands. So now let him go out there and kind of learn, trial by fire. And I know you don't want to go out there and get your quarterback hurt or whatever, but the only way he's going to learn is by experience and by trial and error. And Cliff mentioned he loved his work ethic. So he seems like a kid that's going to pick these things up if you give him the experience or you give him the trust. But I don't think they had to put the trust in Bill because you had an Austin Eckler. Like with an Austin Eckler, it gives you that security and that safety blanket to not want to put the rookie out there and put him out there in those situations. But now you're kind of forced to. Like, you only got 3 running backs now when you talk about, Chase Edmonds not up here yet. He's in the practice squad. Could get elevated, but we're talking about what we know right now, and that's Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, and Bill. But I think now you give Bill this elevated role and you let him play through it. You let him get better because, like I said, what we've seen of the most important thing in the position, he does that pretty well, and that's run the ball, and he's good with the ball in his hands. Now he has to get good at those other things now. So let him play through those, give him that experience. And I do think if you think that his work ethic is, really good, and you're praising his work ethic, then you should trust that those other things are going to get better soon. So I think they have to give him the same kind of leash that they give Josh Connolly and just let him go out there and play.
Yeah, I think Bill can be a contributor, but at the same token, Cliff got to be more committed to the run game. He has to show more to these defenses that we're not just about to drop back and pass for majority of the game. You got to show some type of commitment to running in between the tackles, outside, also getting Debo some carries, some different things. I think that was the main thing that I thought was going to happen going into this Packers game to slow down that pass rush, was trying to run the ball, being more aggressive in that particular style rather than trying to drop back against an elite pass rushing team. But I think that's where it really starts off for Bill Merritt. I don't believe he didn't have 10 carries last week. So, nobody could be successful within that run game due to the non-commitment to forcing the agenda. So, I think with Bill, everybody's excited, especially with all the hype coming in and how they seen him attack the New York Giants and was able to score and stuff like that. But we also got to remember there was a guy that was out of football for a year. So there's probably some adjustments. Then on top of that, maybe they're seeing some deficiencies in his pass blocking game within practice. But like you said, Dre, you got to give him a shot to prove that he could do it. Because even the guy that you believe can do it, now that Eckler is not there, McNichols isn't necessarily the greatest, and he brings no threat to your run game. Or he doesn't bring any threat at all. But, he's been serviceable for the last year that he's been here. But you just got to get Jakrowski some opportunities to fail if that's what's going to happen and also succeed. Huh?
What's his name, bro?
Jakrowski
Merritt.
Man, he just merged all 3 of them Jones, bro.
I don't know. that
Bill
Krosky. That guy.
McCrosky, bro.
The guy with the short dreads.
Just call him McCrosky, bro.
I gotta start calling him Bill, I guess.
Bro, just call him Bill, bro. It's not that hard. I know you a little what's the word? Resistant.
But I know you ain't talking to a Tumba.
But I try though, bro.
And you gotta watch him tonight. So if he do something good, I'm calling your phone.
Okay. Well, I ain't about to say his name. Just call him Tua or TT.
That's it.
That boy TT going crazy. All right, yeah, I get it with Bill, man, and obviously I don't have too much to add outside of what you all were saying. I just think this whole thing is interesting. Part of the problem that I felt like with the offense is like, it's just too early in the season. Now I don't say shy away from the passing game at all. Of course not. Hell no. But I do think you got to understand who you got in there as your people develop. Brandon Coleman is not ready at left guard. Josh Connolly is not ready at right tackle. Nick Allegretti just ain't good. Like, he getting his ass whooped. But those other 2 guys are just younger. And I'm not saying that the story is over for those guys. They're just younger. And the best way to help these guys out is to run the football. I think from a strategy standpoint or a scheme standpoint, you're going to have to find a way to get these guys help in the pass game altogether. And we heard what Market said. Max Crosby primarily lines up on the defensive left, which is going to be on Josh Connolly's side. And how are we going to help Josh Connolly out in an instance where we know that Max ain't moving? So he's going to have a hell of a game or a hell of a matchup this week. And I believe like the rotations or utilization of running backs or tight ends that's going to be on his side to help out Max. like his motor is just different. His explosiveness is different. Like it's top tier. It's going to be a big deal to not let him impact the game anywhere close to how Micah did. And I think he's capable, but they're going to have to emphasize like, yo, do not fuck up on this side.
Like, subscribe, or die. I think that's an Eagles fan. I'm assuming he talks like an Eagles
Everybody fan. Watch us birds. Well, shout out. Appreciate you being in the chat, bro. I wasn't even. I did hear. I saw.
His profile picture a rat.
I have no
idea. Am I tweaking? Is that Master Splinter or something?
He said, "I miss Sean Taylor." Oh, who? Yeah, I wonder who he. I wonder if he knows one of us, or maybe he just saw. Maybe he just saw Commanders. I don't know, bro. But you know, Eagles fans, bro, they've been trolling us for like
I know,
2 months, 7 months, bro.
We got a couple more months before we see the Eagles, but yeah, whatever. Hey, look, we getting into our predictions, wins, what we doing, MVP?
Yeah. All right, okay, yeah. Let's kind of breeze. Let's get through these quick questions. Is it a big day for Terry on Sunday? And if it's not a big day, relatively speaking, whatever you picture big day in your head, right? If it's not a big day, what are we thinking about on the Terry side? Do we want to just wait till Sunday happens to have that conversation?
No, we can have it now.
Okay, let's be like, is it a big day for Terry? If it's not a big day, what does that look like? Or what does that look like in y'all head in terms of like the repercussions or the conversations that comes out of that? After 3 games, he's only had 7 catches.
I mean, I think
for 70 yards.
The reality is Adam Peters pretty much got forced to giving this dude a deal. Like, he's not separating. and if it continues, that's what's going to be talked about. Even if they win, it's still going to be talked about. When you paying a guy, or they do what they, if a guy does what Terry did this offseason in particular, that person has to show up. Like, you're on the field, you're getting these reps, like, you got to show up. Point blank, period.
Hey, talk to us about this right quick. Off to another world. You gonna have to talk to me so I can see. I'm looking for somebody to do some Chop It Die merch. I ain't gonna lie to you. All right, Dre, did you have?
Yeah.
I would hope they know how to spell cardigans first, though.
I
don't know how to spell cardigans, but shout out to them.
Yeah, it's all good. But no, and I actually said this on X earlier, that this should be a big game for Terry, because I'm looking at, obviously you have Max Crosby, and as our guest, earlier just was talking about the Raiders, the front 7 looks pretty solid. But the one weakness, if you look at them, is is the secondary. And he was mentioning Eric Stokes. I was actually thinking about the slot corner, Darnay Holmes, who I've noticed has struggled really badly. But he's saying you can attack an Eric Stokes. And if you got someone that's kind of, attackable, this is what Terry should kind of shine. You would think the man who just signed the big contract, who held out all off season, if you're going to break out, if you're going to, get out to your big start, or, we know he starts slowing games, but if he's going to have a start, or if he's going to get that breakout, this is the game to do it. What better game to do it? Game 3, we don't want to see 3 bad games of pedestrian numbers from Terry, because next week he going back to jail. AJ Terrell even though he's dealing with a little bit of injury, that could affect him. But that's a good point. He put Terry in jail last year.
Next week is jail. he taking a temporary weekend visit to jail next week.
That man, he's gonna have a week. He's gonna have a week off next week. That's crazy.
But yeah, you don't want to see, even if he doesn't, whatever. Next week is next week, but you don't want to see 3 straight games of pedestrian numbers for your big money guy, wide receiver, especially when you feel like the opportunity is there. Whether Mariota or Jaden Daniels plays in this game, I feel like Terry will be a focal point. And if he doesn't kind of get off on a secondary that I feel like he should be able to get off on, that will be starting to look a little bit concerning for Terry. Like, is he starting to hit that, that downside of the other side of 30, so to speak?
Okay. Let's look at some of the other areas. We talked about Terry, we talked about Bill, and the offensive line. What about if we look on the defensive side of the ball? They're getting pressures, right? And I think they're getting to the quarterback at a decent rate. But like, do we think that this pass rush is capable of like having a dominant game against the Raiders? Like, can we have that one where like the pressures, the sacks meet the pressures?
Yeah, I definitely think that the sacks will meet the pressures, and I think this would be the game where they create some turnovers. It's something that's still lacking going into this season so far, but I think that they'll get home on Geno. Um, it was kind of one of the main reasons why I asked about Dante Thornton, speedster, but limited route tree. You don't really have a guy that scares you at wide receiver, and if Brock Bowers can be isolated in some degree within this offense in the passing game, you should be able to get home to Geno Smith and make it tough on him making these decisions, because it looks like he's still trying to get acclimated to Chip Kelly's offense overall. He's not there yet.
Hey,
Why they keep saying you listen to Sheehan, man? Like what?
Sheehan doesn't form my opinions on it. I listen to a lot of people. I listen to a bunch of different people. He doesn't form my opinions. He doesn't help me with my opinions. I disagree with him a lot, but I can listen to people I disagree with. But anyway,
well, once Moneyball get on something, bro,
I know who he is. I know who Moneyball is.
You know who Moneyball is in real life?
No, on Twitter. He's
Twitter,
tweeted me. I think he's Top Heavy. It's a dude named Top Heavy on Twitter because he always mentions Sheehan.
That is a suspect ass name.
Moneyball been calling me a B-Rob guy or B-Rob.
Yeah, Moneyball a funny dude. But I like it though. Damn. I welcome that. I like that. I like the discourse. Moneyball. If you're Top Heavy, keep on coming. We'll discuss on Twitter.
You said what?
If
his name is Top Heavy.
We'll discuss on Twitter. But I hate saying the name, but that's the guy's name. He's on there,
And then he got the nerve to come on like and change his identity to Moneyball.
But look, no. As far as the game goes, as far as getting the pass rush, I think this is the Javon Kinlaw game. I think this is where he can kind of eat, because this is where you look at, and the Raiders do have a pretty damn solid left tackle, Colton Miller. He's been playing pretty damn good ball this year, but the interior is where you look at the weakness of that Raiders offensive line. So Javon Kinlaw, Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong, when you rush him from the inside, because they rush him all over the field. This is the game for them, and I do think that they can have a big game pass rush wise, and they got to be hungry this week, because of the game last week left a bad taste in everybody's mouth on that defense. Even though I thought the defensive line was pretty solid, but this is the game where I do think you win with that defensive line, because you can eat in the interior.
Two more quick ones. First one is it a difference if Jaden or Marcus Mariota in terms of the outcome? Is there a difference in terms of like if one plays or the other that we win or lose? Washington wins or loses. We'll do the prediction, the actual score prediction later. But like, is there a difference in your opinion if one plays or the other, and if there's a win or a loss?
Hell yeah. I know what I'm getting from Jaden Daniels. I don't know what I'm getting from Marcus Mariota.
I say the same thing. What about you, Jay?
What was the question again, Maul?
Is in your opinion, do you think that there's a difference? Like if Mariota or Jaden plays this week, one or the other, is there a difference in your opinion in terms of the outcome, whether it can be a win or a loss versus the Raiders?
I honestly don't think so, because they look at Marcus Mariota, and that's not being overconfident or anything, because I mean, now, yes, certain opponents you will feel different against, but it's not really a knock on the Raiders. It's what I think of what this team should be feeling, or what they should be ready to accomplish. This is a team before the season that you're talking about could be in the Super Bowl conversations. Now, obviously, Jaden is a big deal for that, but he can't be the end all be all. And Mariota has showed that he could come in a pinch, and he could play for you. You don't want Mariota starting 17 games for you, but Mariota can come in and he can keep you afloat. And the offense doesn't have to change too much. Now you may run a little bit more with Mariota, because he's more of a runner than he is I'm a stand in the pocket and dot you up guy like Jaden can if he's given that time. But I do think that Mariota can keep this team, to the level they can be. But I will say, with the Jaden, I'm probably expecting more of a Giants game outcome, in the sense of, and I thought if you execute better in that Giants game, you score more than 30 points in a game. You only score 21 points in the Giants game, but I think if you execute more, you score more than 30. And I think if Jaden plays in this game and they execute at the level that they can execute at, they can score over 30. But I do think if Mariota has to start, it's going to be more of a grind game. It's going to be, a struggle to probably score 20 points where, you're relying on the run game a little bit more. But I still think you can win this game. Now, I don't think it's definitive, but I do think you can win this game with Mariota. And I will still expect them to win the game, but I do think it will be a really tough, grinded out game.
Because of you, Dre, I actually forgot what my second question was. This was just supposed to be a quick response, but we need some coaching on this show. I swear to God. It's like, nah, but I don't know what I don't remember what my second question was. So let's go ahead and get into our score predictions and get into our MVPs as well. Who wants to take the first stab at this? What do we think the score is? Washington, do they move to 2-1 or do they move to 1-2? And who is the game MVP?
I think that the score will be 27-10, and the game MVP offensively
who wins?
Be Deebo Samuel. Huh?
I mean, I know. I just wanted, like you just said, 20,
Washington.
Gotcha.
So that's your score, whether Mariota or Jaden plays?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be 27-10, Deebo Samuel's offensive MVP. And from a defensive standpoint, I think that it will be Javon Kinlaw.
Okay. I'm going to go Commanders. I think they have their best offensive output this season, regardless of who plays quarterback. But I'm going to go 28-17 Commanders.
MVP.
MVP. Yes, MVP. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin. This has to be his breakout game, so I'm going Terry.
Okay. All right. I'm going 27-7. Damn, look at the camera. 27-17 Washington. Whether it's Mariota or Jaden, excuse me. But 27-17 Washington. I think that the offensive MVP is going to be who's the guy, bro? That I can see, because I don't know about the run game, bro. And I want to say Terry, but honestly, bro, there's one thing I will mention. We can have a conversation down the line about. I'm not too sure about that man's like demeanor on the field. Like, it looks weird. I'll leave it there. So I'm gonna say Terry. Like, his demeanor on the field looks weird. So I'm gonna say Deebo is the MVP on offense. And then on the defensive side of things, I think Trey Amos is probably gonna have a big day. I would say Marshawn. I really don't think Marshawn's gonna have a bad game again. Like, I just wanted to highlight the game against the Packers. I don't think Marshawn's gonna have a bad game again this week specifically. But I was actually thinking between Marshawn and Trey Amos. But I think Trey Amos is gonna have his first turnover of his NFL career this year. So I'm gonna give the defense MVP to Trey Amos. Makes a couple plays. Doesn't get ran over. Put on the highlight reel again or the poster
or the injury report.
Yeah, if it's 3 weeks in a row for this guy, bro, like, he's gonna have to. I'm about to take him to my camp myself, so we can get him in the weight room, get him on my meal plan and everything. Straight Lamberts, wings, and strawberry Hennessy, so he can get bigger. But yeah, 27-17 MVPs, Deebo Samuel and Trey Amos.
Hey, my defensive MVP is Javon Kinlaw. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We see JB says Johnny Newton. We see Bowie Banks. Marcus will have over 240 passing yards and 30 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. We have Frankie Louvu, Deron Payne from JB, Jay Tizzy, 34-14 Commanders. Damn, a 20-point win. That's what's up. Terry breaks out in this game.
We not.
I just had Terry win the MVP. I just put Terry as MVP.
We anti Bowie Banks and Moneyball 23. That's what we anti.
Terry breakout game 28-17. Jay Tizzy said MVP is the run game. Moneyball, Travel Dive, anti-Terry.
And I had Terry winning MVP for the game, and I'm anti-Terry. Come on, Moneyball.
And then Bowie co-signed it. That's crazy, bro. Oh, I did. I get what you're saying, though, after what I just said. But I mean, look on the field. Like, what did I say that was disrespectful? I just made an observation. Anyway,
I think anything that's not glaring like praise of Terry is viewed as hate for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know.
That's the way
it ain't like it's only been one prime aggregating hating ass fool. It's like, nah, it's only been one person that really ain't fuck with Terry on this show. And you looking at him. Yeah, with the locks. Yeah, let's put him on the big screen. There you go. All right. That's wicked, but it is what it is. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for us. Hey, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. You know, the fellas are back on Sunday right after the game, immediately after the 000s. Take it easy. And yeah, man, good luck to all the gamblers out there as well. Dre, we'll see each other tomorrow, man. Shout out to Disco. Let's go ahead and have some fun. Get into the weekend, man. Y'all take it easy. All the good stuff. We about here. Peace. AJ, show up too, bro. You need to show up. Take the drive. Peace.
Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.